The first Talarian ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. 7 massive vessels, each the size of Manhattan, their hulls reflecting sunlight like polished obsidian. They didn't attack immediately. That wasn't their way. The Talarian Empire preferred to toy with their prey, to instill fear, to make their victims understand just how hopeless resistance would be. Commander Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of Orbital Defense Station Artemis, watching the alien vessels through reinforced glass. At 42, she'd spent half her life preparing for this moment. Though few knew it, her dark hair was pulled back in a tight bun, her olive-skinned face betraying no emotion despite the weight of humanity's future resting on her shoulders. "They're hailing us again," Lieutenant Park said from his console. "Same message as before." Elena nodded. "Put it through." The air in front of her shimmered, and a holographic image formed. A Talarian in full diplomatic regalia. Ambassador Crixel's insectoid features were partially hidden behind an ornate mask, but his 6 eyes gleamed with a cold intelligence that made Elena's skin crawl. "Commander Reyes." Crixel's voice was unnaturally smooth, processed through translation algorithms. "Your silence is concerning. The Talarian Empire offers protection and advancement. Your species need only submit, and you will be granted the honor of integration into our society." Integration. Such a gentle word for enslavement. Intelligence reports from destroyed civilizations throughout the Orion Arm had made that abundantly clear. "Ambassador Crixel," Elena replied, forcing a diplomatic smile. "Earth thanks you for your generous offer. Our Leadership Council is still deliberating. As I'm sure you understand, such important decisions require time." What she didn't say was that Earth wasn't deliberating anything. They were stalling. Every hour gained was another hour for Project Aegis to reach completion. Crixel's mandibles clicked in what Elena had learned was an expression of amusement. "Of course, Commander. The Talarian Empire is nothing if not patient. But patience has limits. We will await your response for another Earth rotation. No more." The transmission ended, and Elena let her smile drop. "He's lying," said Dr. Sanjay Kapoor, Earth's leading xenolinguist, who had been standing silently in the corner. Micro-expressions in his secondary eye movements suggest increased aggression. "They're not planning to wait a full day." Elena turned to Lieutenant Park. "How long until the fleet is in position?" "Admiral Chen reports 15 hours, Commander." "Not enough time. They needed at least 20. "And Project Aegis?" Dr. Kapoor consulted his tablet. "Final calibrations are underway. Dr. Okafor estimates 18 hours until system-wide deployment is possible." Elena's jaw tightened. "Tell Dr. Okafor she has 12. While Earth's official channels maintained a facade of diplomatic consideration, beneath the surface, humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. Ever since the destruction of the Centauri colonies 50 years ago, Earth had known the Talarians would eventually come for them. The first detection of Talarian signals had been dismissed as astronomical anomalies by the public, but intelligence agencies worldwide recognized the pattern. The same sequence observed before the fall of 7 other civilizations. Rather than panic, Earth's nations had done something unprecedented. They'd united in secret. The Artemis station where Elena stood was only one visible node in an invisible network that spanned the solar system. Officially, humanity's military capabilities were limited to a modest fleet of defensive vessels, enough to deter pirates and handle minor interplanetary disputes, but nothing that could challenge a galactic power like the Talarians. That was exactly what they wanted the Talarians to believe. Elena returned to her quarters and secured the door. She activated her neural link, and the room's hidden systems responded, walls transforming into displays showing the true state of Earth's defenses. Thousands of stealth satellites positioned throughout the solar system, weapon platforms disguised as mining operations on Mars and the moons of Jupiter, the fleet of advanced warships hiding in Neptune's shadow, built in secret facilities beneath the ice of Europa. And at the heart of it all, Project Aegis, humanity's final insurance policy. Admiral Chen, this is Commander Reyes, she said, opening a secure channel. Accelerate your timeline. I believe we have less than 10 hours before they make their move. The Admiral's weathered face appeared on her display. My ships can be in position in 8 hours, but they won't be able to maintain stealth protocols if we push the engines that hard. It's a risk we'll have to take. I'd rather have them spot our fleet than catch us completely unprepared. Understood, Commander. Chen out. Elena had just closed the communication when an alert sounded through the station. Commander to the bridge, emergency situation. She was moving before the announcement finished. When the doors to the bridge slid open, the atmosphere was tense. Report, she demanded. Lieutenant Park looked up from his console, face pale. We've detected unusual energy signatures from the Tellurian vessels. They're deploying something, Commander. Small craft, hundreds of them, too small to be attack ships. Dr. Kapoor was already analyzing the data. Infiltration drones, he concluded, designed to bypass our defense systems and gather intelligence or sabotage key installations. Classic Tellurian tactics. They did the same thing on Proxima Centauri II before the main assault. Elena's mind raced through the options. If they revealed their advanced detection systems by targeting the drones, they'd expose the fact that Earth knew more about Tellurian technology than they should. But if they allowed the infiltration to proceed, track them but don't engage, she ordered. Alert all ground installations to activate countermeasure protocol Theta, but make it look like routine security checks. Nothing that would suggest we know they're coming. Yes, Commander. For the next 6 hours, Elena watched as the invisible war began. The Tellurian drones were sophisticated, but Earth had spent decades studying similar technology recovered from the ruins of fallen civilizations. Hidden defenses neutralized the drones one by one, carefully making each failure appear as an accident or malfunction rather than deliberate intervention. But the Tellurians weren't fools. By the 7th hour, the pattern of coincidental failures became too statistically improbable to ignore. Elena was reviewing the latest intelligence when Admiral Chen contacted her again. Commander, they've spotted our fleet. Their vessels are powering weapons. So much for diplomacy. All stations, this is Commander Reyes. Operation Chimera is now active. I repeat, Operation Chimera is active. Throughout the solar system, hidden defense systems came online. The pretense was over. Elena opened a channel to the Tellurian flagship. Ambassador Crixel appeared immediately, his diplomatic mask removed to reveal the full horror of his alien features. You've been deceiving us, Commander, he said, mandibles clicking rapidly. How? Disappointing. We detected your fleet approaching from the outer system. Primitive vessels, but more numerous than you declared. Did you truly believe such deception would save you? Elena allowed herself a small smile. Ambassador, if you detected our fleet, it's because we wanted you to. Consider it a courtesy, a warning of what's to come if you persist with your invasion plans. Crixel made a sound that the translation system interpreted as laughter. Warning. Commander Reyes, perhaps you misunderstand your situation. The Tellurian Empire has conquered civilizations far more advanced than yours. Your detection of our infiltration drones was unexpected, but ultimately irrelevant. Behind Crixel, Elena could see Tellurian officers moving with purpose, obviously preparing for battle. You speak of courtesy, Crixel continued, yet soon you will beg for mercy. The Tellurian Empire does not grant quick deaths to those who resist. Elena's expression hardened. Ambassador, allow me to be perfectly clear. Earth has extended every diplomatic courtesy possible. We've tolerated your threats, your infiltration attempts, and your lies. But this courtesy has limits. On her private display, Elena could see that Project Aegis was now at 97% readiness. Just a few more minutes. Humanity has a saying, Ambassador, don't mistake kindness for weakness. We've been kind, perhaps more than you deserve. But if you fire upon our world or our ships, you will discover that our courtesy has been the only thing standing between you and annihilation." Crixel's secondary eyes widened slightly. Surprise, according to Dr. Kapoor's research. Bold words from a species about to join our collection of conquered worlds, the ambassador said, but there was a new note in his voice: uncertainty. Elena pressed the advantage. "One final warning, Ambassador. Withdraw your ships now, or face the consequences." Crixel's response was immediate. The Talarian Empire does not respond to threats from lesser beings. The transmission cut off abruptly. Seconds later, the Talarian ships opened fire. Energy beams lanced toward Earth, only to dissipate harmlessly against shields that, officially, humanity didn't possess. Simultaneously, the Talarian vessels launched a barrage of missiles toward the approaching human fleet. "Aegis status," Elena demanded. 100%, Commander," Lieutenant Park responded. "System-wide coverage achieved." Elena took a deep breath. Decades of preparation, trillions in secret funding, the combined efforts of Earth's greatest minds, all for this moment. Activate Aegis. Targeted response only. Let's show them exactly what humanity is capable of when pushed too far. Throughout the solar system, innocuous satellites and disguised platforms suddenly transformed. Energy fields rippled around Earth and key installations as the full defensive grid came online. And from the seemingly minimal human fleet approaching from Neptune, advanced weapon systems emerged from hidden compartments. The Talarian missiles never reached their targets. Intercepted by technology that shouldn't exist, they detonated harmlessly in space. The return fire from Earth's defenses was precise and devastating. Not enough to destroy the Talarian vessels entirely, that wasn't the plan, but enough to cripple their offensive capabilities. On her screen, Elena watched as one Talarian ship lost propulsion, another's weapon systems went dark, and a third began venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. She reopened the communication channel. This time, it wasn't Ambassador Crixel who appeared, but a higher-ranking Talarian, his armor more elaborate, his expression furious. "I am Supreme Commander Vexnar of the Talarian Empire," the alien snarled. "What trickery is this? Your world is categorized as pre-galactic. These defenses should not exist." Elena allowed herself a moment of satisfaction before responding. "Supreme Commander, there has been a misunderstanding. Earth hasn't been extending diplomatic courtesy because we're weak or afraid. We've been courteous because we chose to be. Because despite knowing exactly what the Talarian Empire has done to other worlds, we wanted to avoid unnecessary bloodshed." She leaned forward, her voice steady and cold. "But make no mistake, push us further, and courtesy ends." This demonstration was restrained, calculated, a warning shot, if you will. The next will not be. On her private screen, Elena could see the full capabilities of Project Aegis, a system that could, if necessary, reduce the Talarian fleet to atoms, a weapon developed from the combined knowledge of Earth's scientists and reverse-engineered Talarian technology. The Supreme Commander's rage was evident even through the alien features. "This defiance will not stand. The full might of the Talarian Empire will descend upon your world for this insult." Elena's response was calm, measured, and absolutely terrifying in its certainty. "You misunderstand, Supreme Commander. This isn't defiance. This is humanity introducing itself to the galaxy on our own terms. Now take your damaged ships and go. Tell your empire what you've learned today. Earth is not to be threatened." The communication ended, but the confrontation was far from over. The damaged Talarian ships hung in orbit, weapons hot but not firing. Waiting. Calculating. Elena knew the real battle was just beginning. Supreme Commander Vexnar paced the bridge of the Talarian flagship, 6 limbs clicking against the metallic floor. Holographic displays surrounding him showed the extensive damage to his fleet. Damage that should have been impossible. The humans had weapons that could penetrate Talarian shields, defenses that neutralized Talarian attacks, and detection systems that had identified their infiltration drones. None of this matched their intelligence reports. Earth was supposed to be primitive, barely capable of interplanetary travel, certainly not equipped with technology that could challenge the Empire. How? He demanded of his science officer, Zilith. How did they conceal this level of advancement? Zilith's appendages moved rapidly over the analysis console. Unknown, Supreme Commander. Our preliminary scans indicate technology similar to our own, but with significant modifications. Some components appear to be based on Proximan design principles. Impossible. Vexnar interrupted. We eliminated the Proximans 3 cycles ago. Their technology died with them. Zilith hesitated before responding. The evidence suggests otherwise, Supreme Commander. Vexnar's primary eyes narrowed. Contact the Imperial fleet. I want reinforcements, the full 7th Armée. These humans have made a grave mistake in revealing their capabilities so soon. They've shown their hand before they were truly ready. In her quarters aboard Artemis Station, Elena reviewed the data from the brief engagement. The Aegis system had performed beyond expectations, neutralizing the Talarian attack while minimizing damage to their ships. That had been intentional, a warning rather than an execution. Her neural link chimed with an incoming communication. Commander, Dr. Okafor's face appeared on her display, the scientist's expression a mixture of pride and concern. Aegis performed admirably, but we've detected unusual energy signatures from the Talarian vessels. They're transmitting massive data packets toward the edge of the system, far beyond what would be necessary for standard communications. Elena frowned. They're calling for reinforcements. Yes, and based on the signal strength and duration, they're calling for a lot of them. This wasn't unexpected. The strategy had never been to defeat the initial Talarian force and assume victory. Earth knew the Empire would escalate. The question had always been, how much time would they have before the hammer fell? How long until their reinforcements arrive? Dr. Okafor consulted her data. Based on known Talarian FTL capabilities, minimum of 72 hours, maximum of 6 days. Begin Phase 2 preparations, Elena ordered, and get me a secure channel to the Security Council. The faces of Earth's leadership appeared on her display. 12 individuals representing the United Earth Government, a structure that had evolved from the old United Nations after first contact decades ago. The Talarians have called for reinforcements, Elena reported without preamble. We successfully repelled their initial attack, but this is just the beginning. Secretary General Adeyemi, a Nigerian woman whose calm leadership had guided Earth through numerous crises, spoke first. Casualties. None on our side. Minimal on theirs, as planned. And the Aegis system? Asked Councillor Zhang, China's representative. Performed beyond expectations. All subsystems are operational and ready for Phase 2. Secretary General Adeyemi nodded. Then we proceed as discussed. Operation Hydra is authorized, effective immediately. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden infrastructure began to transform. Mining facilities on Mars converted to ammunition production. Stealth shipyards around Jupiter's moons activated additional assembly lines. The fleet hiding in Neptune's shadow split into 3 task forces, each with specific objectives. On Earth, civilians continued their daily lives largely unaware of the true situation. They knew of the Talarian ships in orbit, of course. Such things couldn't be hidden. But the official story was that diplomatic negotiations were ongoing. Few suspected that their world stood on the brink of interstellar war. This, too, was part of the plan. Panic would only hamper the carefully orchestrated preparations. 48 hours after the initial confrontation, Elena received the report she'd been waiting for. Lieutenant Park delivered it personally. Talarian reinforcements detected, Commander. Multiple FTL signatures at the edge of the system. Sooner than expected, but not catastrophically so. Numbers: 23 capital ships, over 100 support vessels. Full battle fleet configuration. Elena nodded, unsurprised. And our preparations. Operation Hydra is at 94% readiness. All civilian evacuation protocols are in place for critical regions. Inform the Security Council. It's time for Phase 3. The Tellurian reinforcements converged with the original fleet, forming an armada that dwarfed anything humanity had officially acknowledged possessing. The damaged ships retreated to the rear, while fresh vessels took up offensive positions. Elena stood on the Artemis Bridge as Supreme Commander Vexnar's transmission came through. Commander Reyes, the Tellurian's voice dripped with false civility. I trust you've had time to reconsider your position. The full might of the 7th Armada now awaits your surrender. Your impressive defenses may have surprised us initially, but they cannot withstand what is to come. Elena studied the alien commander, noting the confidence in his posture. He truly believed victory was inevitable. Supreme Commander, she responded, I see you've brought friends. Allow me to be clear. Earth's position has not changed. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves. The demonstration 2 days ago was restrained, intentionally so. It represented a fraction of our capabilities. Vexinar's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of amusement or disbelief. Bold claims, Commander. Perhaps you misunderstand the situation. The ships you see represent merely one armada of the Imperial fleet. The Tellurian Empire spans 300 star systems. Your world, impressive as its defenses may be, cannot stand against our full might. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Numbers can be deceiving. Supreme Commander, quality often trumps quantity. Your confidence is admirable, if misplaced, Vexnar replied. You have 1 Earth hour to surrender, or we will reduce your civilization to ash. The transmission ended, and Elena turned to her officers. Status of Operation Hydra. All systems ready. Commander, Lieutenant Park confirmed. Task forces in position. Dr. Kapoor approached, his expression grave. Commander, based on Tellurian communication patterns and fleet movements, they're not bluffing. They're preparing for a full-scale planetary assault. I never thought they were bluffing, Doctor, Elena replied calmly. Signal all commands. Execute Phase 3. Throughout the solar system, humanity's hidden defenses activated in sequence. Stealth platforms emerged from the dark side of Earth's moon. Defensive formations previously invisible, even to Tellurian sensors, revealed themselves around Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And from Earth itself, the true human fleet rose to meet the threat. Ships that had been concealed in underwater bases, polar installations, and subterranean hangars. In orbit, the Artemis station began to transform, outer panels sliding away to reveal weapon systems that had remained hidden until this moment. On the main display, Elena watched as Supreme Commander Vexnar received the data about Earth's suddenly expanded defenses. The alien's composure visibly faltered. Open a channel, she ordered. When Vexnar appeared, his previous confidence had given way to confusion. What trickery is this? He demanded. These forces were not detected by our scans. No trickery, Supreme Commander, Elena replied. Simply technology you believe beyond our capabilities. You assumed Earth was showing its full hand 2 days ago. You were wrong. Vexnar's confusion quickly morphed to rage. It changes nothing. The Tellurian Empire has conquered species far more advanced than yours. Your deception merely delays the inevitable. Elena's expression hardened. You've had every opportunity to withdraw peacefully. Instead, you've chosen escalation. So be it. She cut the transmission and turned to her officers. All units, engage as planned. Primary targets only. Show them exactly what happens when humanity stops being courteous. The battle that followed would later be known as the First Tellurian Engagement, a designation that implied there would be more to come. But for those who witnessed it firsthand, it was simply awesome and terrible. The Tellurian fleet struck first, energy weapons and missile salvos launching simultaneously in a barrage, designed to overwhelm Earth's defenses through sheer volume of fire. They never reached their targets. Project Aegis, now operating at full capacity, created overlapping energy fields that didn't just block the Talarian weapons. They captured and redirected their energy, turning the attackers' own power against them. Simultaneously, Earth's previously hidden fleet executed a series of precision strikes against the Talarian armada, not attempting to destroy the alien vessels outright, but systematically disabling propulsion, weapons, and communication systems. The strategy wasn't annihilation. It was humiliation. On the Artemis Bridge, Alina watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. Years of preparation, decades of technological development in secret, all for this moment. "Commander," Lieutenant Park called out, "3 Talarian capital ships have broken formation. They're attempting to reach low Earth orbit." Alina nodded. "Activate the Poseidon Protocol." Beneath Earth's oceans, massive energy signatures suddenly appeared as submarine installations powered up. Beams of concentrated energy shot upward through the atmosphere, precisely targeting the approaching Talarian vessels. Their shields flickered and failed under the assault, and all 3 ships veered off, severely damaged. For 2 hours, the battle raged across the solar system. The Talarian fleet, despite its numerical advantage, found itself outmaneuvered and outgunned at every turn. Human ships seemed to anticipate their tactics, countering them before they could be fully implemented. What the Talarians couldn't know was that humanity had spent 50 years studying their warfare strategies, recovering and reverse engineering their technology from the ruins of conquered civilizations, and preparing specifically for this confrontation. Finally, Supreme Commander Vexnar opened a communication channel. His bridge was dark, emergency lighting casting ominous shadows across his alien features. Behind him, officers worked frantically to contain multiple system failures. "Commander Reyes," he began, his voice strained. This outcome was unexpected. Alina studied him silently for a moment before responding. "Was it? You destroyed 7 civilizations in this sector alone. Did you truly believe there would be no consequences? That no one would learn from their fall? Adapt your own technology and prepare." Vexinar's primary eyes widened. You've been studying us. For how long? Since you destroyed the Centauri colonies, we recovered fragments of your technology, pieced together your attack patterns. Each civilization you conquered provided more data, more technology to adapt. You thought you were eliminating potential threats, but instead, you were educating your ultimate opponent. The Talarian commander's posture shifted subtly, resignation replacing fury. "What are your terms, Commander?" Alina leaned forward. "Unconditional withdrawal from Earth space. Return to your empire with this message. Earth is off limits. Not just to the Talarians, but to any species with conquest in mind. We have no interest in expansion or aggression, but we will defend ourselves and any civilization that seeks our protection." Vexinar's mandibles clicked slowly as he processed her words. "You speak as if you have authority beyond your own world." "We speak as a species that has demonstrated the capability to defeat your armada," Alina countered. "A species that could have destroyed your fleet entirely but chose restraint. Remember that, Supreme Commander, when you report to your superiors." She paused, letting her next words carry the full weight of humanity's resolve. "And deliver this final warning. We have extended every courtesy possible during this encounter. We've limited casualties, avoided total destruction of your forces, and offered peaceful resolution multiple times. But if the Talarian Empire or any other power threatens Earth again, courtesy ends. The next engagement won't be a demonstration or a warning. It will be annihilation." The alien commander stared at her for a long moment before responding. "Your message will be delivered, Commander Reyes. But the Talarian Empire spans centuries and galaxies. This setback will not be forgotten or forgiven." Alina nodded solemnly. "Nor will your aggression. Supreme Commander, remember that your empire has never faced an opponent like humanity before. Not because we're inherently superior, but because we learn, we adapt, we prepare, and most importantly, we recognize the difference between courtesy and weakness. The damaged Talarian fleet began its withdrawal an hour later, limping toward the edge of the solar system under the watchful eyes of Earth's defenses. Elena stood in her quarters, gazing out at the stars, knowing that this wasn't the end, merely the beginning of humanity's emergence onto the galactic stage. Secretary General Elaimi's voice came through her neural link. The Security Council has reviewed the battle data. Operation Hydra was a complete success. For now, Elena cautioned, the Talarians won't take this defeat lightly. They'll return, better prepared next time. And we'll be waiting, Elaimi replied confidently. Phase 4 is already underway. The diplomatic channels are being established with the Arcturus Confederation and the Vega Coalition. As you predicted, our demonstration against the Talarians has caught their attention. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had planned not just for the battle, but for what came after. The defeat of the Talarian Armada wasn't just about protecting Earth. It was about announcing humanity's presence to the galactic community in a way that couldn't be ignored. And Project Prometheus, she asked. Greenlit across all platforms, the Secretary General confirmed. By the time the Talarians regroup, we'll have allies. Real ones, not subjugated worlds. Elena nodded, satisfied. From the ashes of the civilizations the Talarians had destroyed, humanity had forged not just weapons, but a future, a path forward that didn't require conquest or subjugation. 3 days later, as the last Talarian vessel disappeared from long-range sensors, Elena addressed the people of Earth directly for the first time since the conflict began. The truth could no longer be hidden, nor did it need to be. Citizens of Earth, she began, her image broadcast worldwide. For decades, we have prepared in secret for a threat many of you never knew existed. 3 days ago, that threat arrived in the form of the Talarian Empire, a power that has destroyed countless civilizations throughout our sector of the galaxy. She paused, letting the gravity of the situation sink in. They came expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found humanity united, prepared, and unwilling to become another footnote in their history of domination. The battle has been won, but the greater challenge lies ahead. Earth now stands revealed to the galactic community, not as an easy target, but as a force to be reckoned with. Elena's expression softened slightly. We did not seek this conflict, nor do we desire expansion or conquest. But make no mistake, humanity will defend itself, and any civilization that seeks our protection. We extend an open hand to those who come in peace, and a clear warning to those who come with ill intent. Earth's courtesy has limits. Push us beyond them at your peril. As her address concluded, Elena knew that somewhere in the vast expanse of the Talarian Empire, her message was being received and translated. Supreme Commander Vexnar would report his defeat, and the Empire would begin planning its response. But this time, they would approach with caution, with respect, perhaps even with fear. And that, Elena reflected as she gazed out at the stars once more, was exactly the point. Humanity had never wanted war with the stars. But after decades of watching other civilizations fall, they had prepared for it anyway. And in doing so, they had perhaps found the path to something greater, a future where Earth stood not as a target or a conqueror, but as a defender, a beacon, a warning to empires and a hope for the oppressed. Earth's final warning to the galaxy was clear. We come in peace, but we come prepared for war. Push us too far, and courtesy ends. The rest of the galaxy would do well to listen.